Yeah.
Welcome everyone to this HERDSA webinar, which is all about bringing your roundtable to life, a preparation workshop for the HERDSA 2025 conference presenters. Sorry, everything keeps pinging at me. So we're trialing Teams for the first time here. This is the HERDSA Teams. And the facilitators today are myself, Julia. I'm on the HERDSA. Can you all hear that pinging in the background? Is that? So together with myself, Alice Brown and Manisha are on the HERDSA Executive. So this is a group of wonderful facilitators for today. We've also got Bernie, who's the ACT HERDSA Chair, and we have Pushpa, who's the HERDSA Victoria Chair, and we have Tanya Leach, and Tanya Leach coordinated the roundtables at the conference last year, and I believe we'll be doing the same this year. So she's going to give you some really useful information about how the roundtables will be organised, come to present them at the conference. I love the ping. So if we could just move on to the next slide, and just to clarify that this session is actually being recorded. So before we kick off, I would like to acknowledge and pay my respects to the people of Kulin Nations, on whose land my university, Monash University, operates. I pay my respects to their elders past, present, emerging. Many of you are elsewhere. If you would like to pay respects to the traditional owners on the lands from where you may be joining us, please feel free to put this into the chat function on the Teams, which should be at the top left of your screen. So if we move on to the next slide, Manisha. Excellent. So here's the logo for the HERDSA 2025 conference. So first of all, enormous congratulations on your successful HERDSA 2025 roundtable submission. We ran a similar webinar workshop last year on effective roundtables, had almost 100 people come to that, and I believe that that webinar that we ran before the conference, I'm still getting distracted by pinging everyone, led to amazing roundtables at the conference. I went to a large number of roundtables and I thought they were absolutely fantastic. We've seen an increase in the number of roundtable presentations between the conference last year. So we had 166 last year, and this year we're going to have 181. So well done, and I look forward to coming to a number of these roundtables. So today we want to look at roundtables and their value and gain insights into tips and considerations for organising and delivering a successful roundtable. So if we could move on to the next slide. I've still got people coming in, yay. Okay, so just to clarify, I used my mate Chatty G to tell me what a roundtable is. So what's a roundtable? It's when a group of participants engage in interactive discussions on a specific topic or an issue around a table. And at HERDSA, the roundtables have 10 chairs around the table. So in theory, a maximum of 10 participants. And if we can move on to the next slide, please. I'm going to hand over to Alice, and we're going to talk about why a roundtable, and we want you to look at your abstract for your roundtable, the why in your abstract, and think about why did you put in for a roundtable. And if we move to the next slide, let's just quickly remind you of the different types of roundtables. So when you put in for a roundtable, you put in for one of these three types. Is it a point for debate around an issue, leading to ways to expose the issue to a wider audience or leading to collaborations? Is it you sharing a work in progress, trying to get feedback and input from people around your table to try and refine and progress your work? Is it a birds of a feather? So an informal guided discussion about topics in higher education and the sharing of ideas and strategies so you can learn from each other. So Alice, over to you. Do you want everyone to put into the chat?
You just done a spoiler alert there, Julia. No, that's fine. Look, it's really, I think the why is really important in order to get bang for buck out of your round table for yourselves and also for those that are sitting around the table, yeah? So, and I think it was important for Julia to highlight the different types of round tables. Obviously, you've associated your round table with one of these. So maybe think back to which one of these yours was primarily associated with. And I just want to pause for a moment for a few seconds of silence. But I want you to reflect back on why, what's the main reason that you want to do this roundtable? The why. What's the main reason for you? And maybe as a semicolon, you might want to respond to what's the main reason for colleagues that are joining the roundtable? Why should they pick yours? Because, you know, as Tanya will be able to reinforce, that round table room gets crazy busy and everyone's vying for people to come to their round table. Come to ours, it's on humor. Yeah, it's going to be fun, right? So basically, why are they going to sit around yours? What's going to make them come to yours? What would be the value? So yeah, just for a few minutes, I'll encourage you to just pop your why into the chat, and then let's have a little look at them and be ready to expand on that. I might call your elaboration. Okay, keep on going. I'm not going to interrupt at this point. I might even do some homework, and those that are doing a round table presenting as well, maybe do yours. Okay, let's have a little look at how you are going. Some of you haven't done your homework yet. I'm going to wait a few more minutes. Such a teacher, aren't I? Hey, let's just go. Okay. Elise Greenwood, can I put you on the spot? Can you elaborate on your reason?
Hello. So I haven't plugged my camera in. So I'm actually with Anna, and I feel like she nailed the words much better than me, which is to share an idea, gather feedback, sense check reactions and ideas so we can strengthen and develop the work. So we're doing a work in progress, and we really want
Work in
critical feedback
progress.
to, help make the work the best it can be. And there'll be a lot of really amazing people there. So why not use that as an opportunity to do that?
That's excellent, really excellent. Any thoughts from others on that point? Maybe others that are looking at that same value or purpose from their work in progress? While you're talking about that value, I also want you to think about how you might enable or afford that to come through from your roundtable. What types of techniques could you use to facilitate that? What would that look like, sound like, in order to achieve that goal? We might break out into rooms for a little bit of that later, I think. But just, I think it's really important to think about your goal and how you might enable or afford that goal to occur through the facilitation and practices of that round table. Do you understand that? Okay, let's look at Estee Xing, is it? Look for collaborators. Can you explore that one? What about
Yeah.
Bailey? Sorry,
Okay.
was that someone?
That was me.
Yes.
SD.
Yes.
Yeah. Looking for collaborators. If you have something that you're interested in, that you're thinking of or working on, then that's a good place to actually meet other people that are sort of doing similar work with you, and potentially looking for collaborators that could work with you on that particular
Absolutely.
project. Yeah.
Yeah. And would it be of value then to think about promoting your roundtable, which we've been encouraging, and I think promoting it beforehand in something like LinkedIn or something like that, so that you get some of those like-minded people to your event, just to get, bang for buck from that as well.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I
Yeah.
haven't done any
Is
of
that
that
a birds
yet,
of a
but
feather,
yeah.
Estee? Is that a
Yes.
birds of a feather? Perfect.
Yes.
Good. That's excellent.
Thank you.
Did anyone else want to share their value or rationale? I'm just randomly picking otherwise. Kate, can we pick on you? Kate Tregelone?
Yeah, well, hello, that's me. It's a point for debate, this one, and it's really starting from this challenge of lecture engagement. So this is quite a point of contention and much discussion. And so there's we've been doing some research around perspectives of faculty members, staff members, as well as students. And so the thinking for the roundtable is really to set up a debate between different perspectives in this changing higher ed landscape. So how can we surface some of the values that are driving that? I'm really hoping it becomes a bit of a feisty debate and people get to, because why not? And
absolutely.
So I am very, very welcome.
It's going to be exciting.
Suggestions for how people might choose their perspectives, because obviously people won't be able to prepare in advance. But I think we're clearly in a time of great change, and many perspectives are relevant to that, and many people are impacted in different ways.
Thank you, Kate. And also, maybe when we're looking at the considerations later on and tips, we might be able to invite colleagues to kind of look at how that debate might happen without one person taking over the debate, right? Yeah, all that sort of stuff.
Beautiful.
How are we going for time, Julia? Have we got time for one or two more?
Let's go one more, Alice.
Okay. Ooh, anyone want a super share? What about Kelly Linden?
Yeah, hi. Yes, my roundtable is a point for debate. We've recently done a full evaluation of an automatic 7-day extension at Charles Sturt University.
And good one. Yeah.
I know quite a few other universities have recently introduced something similar. I think either 2, 3, 5, 7 or 14 days. So certainly at Charles Sturt, it's been polarising for academics, and we've been surveyed and interviewed academics, so we'll have some data there, but it'll be interesting. I guess it depends who attends the roundtable, which direction the debate goes, but certainly we can show value for students, and we can also share some maybe contentions with academics.
Yeah. And let's just pause here for a minute to think about the value of roundtables and the multiple perspectives that have just been shared. And look, how cool is it that we're getting to present our research in a very different way rather than the traditional showcase? So, there's a lot of potential and possibility for roundtables. And so I think this session is going to be really great, but also it helps us to really consider not only the power and potential, but also how we can best get that effectiveness of that through the way that we facilitate that session. All right, great. On with the show, Julia.
Thank you, Alice. Well, you're actually next. What we're going to do now is 3 of our facilitators presented roundtables at the conference last year. So we'd like, so Alice, Manisha and Bernie are all going to give a quick overview of their roundtable experiences from last year. So maybe Alice, if we start with you.
Okay, I'll just do a two-minute one. Ours was a birds of the feather. It was some new research that my colleagues were looking at starting, and it was looking at online engagement and the use of humor as a strategy to facilitate engagement. And it was something really funky and cool that we were looking at exploring, but we wanted to gauge whether others thought that that might be a pretty cool idea as well. So basically, that's where we got to. There was lots of laughter. I think Tanya had to shut us up a few times at the event. We were starting with some jokes, asking for jokes, kind of getting into the feel of things. And that also, when you think about it, helps to build trust and rapport and connectedness with our participants. So think about how you do that. You're going to be asking them for some insights, maybe something a bit sensitive, or they might not feel comfortable. So that was really a good way of segueing into this topic. So it went really well, and also at the same time, we put out feelers for anyone that might be actually using humor as a technique online or even face-to-face, and we got their names and might touch base with them for research that we're looking at next. So maybe thinking about additional possibilities. Yeah.
Thanks, Alice. Bernie, do you want to go next?
Hi, yeah, sure. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the session. I'll keep mine very short. We've done a few with this small research group that I have been a member of for a while now, but we did a birds of a feather session, and it was looking at resilient scholarship and what resilience means. And it's such a loaded term, that resilient, that we tried to narrow that down to think about ways that you could be more resilient when you're documenting, profiling, reflecting on your scholarship. So a lot to try and pack into 25 minutes. We had more people than we planned. We had about 30 odd people. We didn't want to turn anyone away because everyone was pretty keen. So we changed around on the spot how we were going to manage it, and we stuck to time. Rapport was built very quickly. We didn't know any of the academics who attended. They were from different unis. I was the main presenter. The two colleagues helped just go round so that we had tiny little groups within a group, if that makes sense. And what we did was we got feedback from, even though it was like a point of debate, whether it was a useful thing. And what people came up with was, well, we'd like to see a workshop on this. How could we actually do this? So we did a workshop last year as well. And I'm pleased to say that we got a lot of positive feedback, and that's leading us in the direction that we were hoping for future research, which we hope we can try and get back into next year. My situation has changed a bit, so I'm taking time out of paid employment at the moment. So I'm doing a PhD, so I'm a bit busy with that at the moment. But the big issue for us was too many people turning up, but we managed it. So yeah, that's all from me. Thanks.
Thanks, Bernie. Manisha.
Right. So we've done birds of a feather and work in progress both. And the good thing was work in progress was then in the following year was presented as the showcase. So we were able to continue on that continuum of the journey. Birds of a Feather definitely provided us the platform to share the ideas of our project, and this was for the scholarship of teaching and thinking tank that we have at Torrance University. We presented our strategy around how to improve that scholarship of teaching and learning within our health science department. Then following year, we presented the work that we did under that study. And that was work in progress, but we wanted to get some feedback on how do we refine our strategy of the data collection. And then the year after, we went with our data collection that was analyzed and fully the full research with the outcome. I would definitely say that whatever format you are going with, the two things, as Alice said, that I would always consider before I go and present there is what is in it for me and what is in it for the participants. two ways. It is not one way. I'm not there to present, deliver what I have got to present. It is for me to gain something, but at the same time, attendees to gain something out of my presentation. So that two things. With that, I do the planning. The planning will be always looking at, I might start with posing a question to the participants, or I might start with providing an overview, which will quickly follow through to the questions that are being posed to the participants so that they get involved and engaged in the discussion. It is more about engagement than a presentation. We are not doing showcase presentation. We are doing a roundtable discussion, and discussion is the important aspect that I would always try and consider. It has to be full of laughter. It has to be full of noise, and Tanya must come to our table and say, shh. That's my takeaway.
Thank you very much, Alice, Manisha and Bernie, for sharing your lived experiences of presenting a roundtable at a HERDSA conference. So if we just flick two slides down, Manisha, I'm going to ask Tanya to come and talk about the logistics of presenting a roundtable. We've done our SWOT analysis. Here we go.
Lovely. Thank you so much. And it's been lovely to watch the chat, and also to acknowledge that as one of the people who reviews all the abstracts, I want to acknowledge that some of you did not initially put in for a roundtable. And so Ruth Wallace and I led that process, and I've done it for the last 3 years. And what we looked at, because we have over 500 abstracts and we can't take everybody, is when we are looking for those that could go into a round table, we are looking for exactly what we've been talking about. Does it have the potential to evoke discussion and engagement? Is there something that you could also get out of switching modes? So I just want to acknowledge, because there's been a lot of conversations about that, and the retrofit. One of the things, having facilitated these for 3 years across the conferences, is expectations. Expectations of participants and expectations of you as presenters. Then also analysing the feedback from the conferences. Some of the comments and the threads that come through over the years are, I was expecting that I was able to engage in a discussion, because a roundtable is about a discussion, as we've seen in the definition. But the rooms are, dependent upon the venue. And I know we've tried to really each time spread out our roundtables in a couple of spaces to try and create more room for you to present. We've even tried over the years to put dividers so it feels like your own space. So each table, as you know, if you have been to one, is about creating this space to achieve the purpose that you've set it up for, which is why your abstract is so important, because people read those abstracts and then they'll be expecting something. So that's why in the feedback, we would have said, talk about the engagement, talk about, the point of debate, or the discussion item, so that people come primed to do something. The things we cannot control. So we cannot control the venue space. We cannot control how many participants come in. We tried 1 year and we locked people out. That was not popular. So then we did not. So people were racing to come to the room. They were very angry and, really taking it out on me personally. It was we need to get in. So we have had some round tables that have had 30 people around them. Some round tables, that have had 5. So we get this huge, difference. And typically what distinguishes that is whether they're local or not. So we have tried to be mindful of spreading out and making room in spaces. So I just wanted to, share some of the thinking that goes behind. There is a lot of thinking to try and give you the space and the time and the respect, in terms of the size, so that you can achieve what you want to achieve. But there are things outside of our control. So what do we do? When we come in, And this year I am only facilitating 4 of the sessions and others are facilitating, but we have talked about the mechanisms. So we do try to set up being mindful of those around us. So if having a discussion, the teacher in me does often say, can we use our inside whispering voices and talk to the partner beside us? Now, I know that might sound, and some people do take that as a belittling statement. It is not intended to be. What we're trying to say is we want you to discuss, but there could be 100 people in the room. And then people's voices try to get over each other. So when you are setting up the protocols for your discussions, please think about that, because otherwise people get angry and the noise levels go through the roof. So think about, if you've got 10 people, do they turn to the person beside? Do we talk openly across the table? But if you have more, so I guess thinking about some alternative strategies you could use if more than 10 people end up coming to your session would be a really good idea. Sometimes we do have options for bigger tables to step outside, but I haven't seen the venue yet, and so I can't do that until we get there. So that's a big thing. The other part is the collection of information. Sometimes people rely on listening into the discussions and taking notes, which then makes it really problematic for timekeeping and also monitoring the conversation. So again, something to be mindful of is, if you are the only person there in your group, how are you going to manage time? We will give you indicators outside, but sometimes you might want to move conversations along. And do you have alternative methods and catch up afterwards if people still want to share ideas for you? So I guess coming back around, lots of thinking done to try and distribute workshops. 2, we can't control the space. 3, we can't control how many people want to come to each person's sessions. But what we can do is be mindful of the mechanisms as facilitators, to know that we are in a room with maybe 4 other round tables, to know that other people will be having discussions. You want people to enjoy your round table, so how can you do that in a shared space? We will give you a 5-minute visual, so we go around with a 5, so to try and not interrupt the conversation. So I'll catch facilitators' eyes with a 5-minute warning, and then we sound some chimes. We do have to be really tight on the timing because the next group of roundtables come in. So when your time is up, your time is up, and then we do have to move on. So sometimes if you've got discussion, limiting your discussion points to 1 or 2 and having different modes. What have I seen that's worked over the last 3 years? So I take photos of everyone's round table, you might have seen, and we put them up with, a space so everybody has I'm not a formal photographer. I'm just someone who likes to take photos and puts them up. So what I've seen is where there's some sort of hands-on tool, a sheet or a summary that people can also read some of the big picture ideas that you're pitching, because sometimes they might not be able to hear them clearly. And when there's a follow-up mechanism for sharing their ideas, if they didn't get to do it in the round table, QR code, link to something. So some little piece of paper or something that people can take away with them that gives them the top 3 ideas or the stimulus for conversation and a way to follow up with you afterwards. So I hope that's helped. If there's any sort of threads that you would like me to discuss a little bit more, here we go. With the participants' permission, are we allowed to record the discussion? If you have your normal, I guess if it's part of research, signed ethics, we have had people do that before and sign into that. But being mindful, if there are people who don't want to be recorded, then you need to ask them to step out. So following ethical procedures. Just having a look here as well. Do you have suggestions for where to print materials for the roundtable activities for those of us flying in? Good question. I'm not a local Perth person. I guess Officeworks is somewhere Australia-wide. Or if you want to reach out maybe to the committee, there might be, if it's not too many, someone might be kind enough to print for you, but we can't do it obviously for 170 people. So I'll come back, I'll get your hand in a moment. Using Slido, yep, and laptop on the table, that does work, but remember, if you have 30 people, they're not going to all see your laptop as well. So sometimes if you're going to use a Slido and a QR code, having a couple more QR codes printed out, like on 2 or 3 pieces of paper that people can hand around and scan, might be something. We've got prep before you go, so that's good. Tips. The question there about, do you have access to a PowerPoint? No, unless you bring your own laptop to share. So often it is a discussion, and that's why we say have some sort of handout for that. If you're hoping to give a demo of an assessment, you can, but maybe not everybody will see it. So maybe if you wanted to also do that in live time, but have a recording of the demo that people can QR code so they can pull it up on their phones, might be also an alternative for you. Gosh, when I listen to this recording and hear how many times I say All right, let me have a look. So at the end of the day, what we want is a community of practice, sharing ideas, exactly what you said, challenging our assumptions, looking at how other people are doing things and tackling similar problems, learning from each other. And of course, we know that many people are at different stages of research and or practice. So remember, the HERDSA presentations are not necessarily all research. They might be practice-based, looking at implementing different programs as well. And so we get this really rich, diverse range of perspectives, and our roundtable is really that opportunity to have a closer connection than you might in other modes of delivery. It has been blowing out into the most popular mode in the last few years, particularly post-COVID, because people are looking to engage in conferences differently. So for those of you who didn't get your first choice, please don't think of this as the second choice. This is the mode that gets the most positive feedback when we get feedback from the conference. So I'm super excited to see all of your presentations, and please reach out beforehand if you're worried about something or if you would like some other suggestions around some different things to do. Thanks so much for the opportunity to come and share.
Thank you very much, Tanya. Extremely helpful. And everyone, the picture on the slide there was provided by the conference organisers in Perth, and I believe this is how the room will be set up. So it's a fairly large room apparently, which normally takes about 12 tables, and they'll only have 6 tables in there. So in theory, there's going to be plenty of room around the tables this year. So I'm going to hand over to Manisha now. He's going to talk about how you can use social media to publicise your roundtable.
Right. So that's my area, the communications lead for HERDSA. I promote that you do the appropriate promotion. Shameless promotion is the word I use all the time. Many of you have heard that we will keep it to 10 people for your table, and we try to keep it to 10 people. However, there are many roundtables, there are concurrent sessions going on as well, and you want people to know what you're doing and what you're presenting at HERDSA beforehand. The programs out there, people will be looking at program. There are many of the other presentations which they want to go to, and you want key people who are working in the same area, having the same interests, sharing, who can share ideas, who can provide some more enriching discussion. You want them to come to your table. And if you want to do that, use social media. That's our greatest communication tool that would support you with making sure that people are aware that you are there, you are presenting, you are going to talk about this topic. Why they should attend your roundtable versus anyone else's, you need to be very much clear about that. So you have been provided with a few of those social media promotion toolkit from the expert events. I've got the 3 pictures that all these 3 has been provided to you in an email that was sent to you for the confirmation, presenter confirmation email. If you have not got it, you can get back to the expert events and they will be more than happy to resend it to you. But I'm 100% sure you have that on your one of the emails that was sent in past. You could use any of that. I have personally liked the version here with the PowerPoint snippets there, which allows you to insert your name, your presentation title. If you want to edit it further, you can add it with the time of the presentation. You can add your picture in the corner. This is the PowerPoint slide that has been provided, which you can upload on LinkedIn. When you upload that, it turns into a PDF document on its own. So it's straightforward. The other 2 are images. Very easy to do is just do that slider, which is I'm presenting at, or the image with the white box, where again, you can edit that image using the Paint or any image editing software and add your presentation title and the time. Along with that, blurb is important. So when you're writing these on social media, just putting these slides or pictures on the social media is not going to be enough. Use ChatGPT, use Copilot, use whatever AI tool you want to use. Add some ideas, add your topic, what you want, you're going to present, how you are going to engage people in the participation. What is that core point that they will get out of attending your presentation? Write all of that in just brief to the Copilot or any of the AI tool that you use. It will generate the blurb for you. Then just put that blurb on the social media and tag your university, tag HERDSA 2025, tag your authors, and hashtag your topic related things. That's the thing that I would do and I would strongly support. Once you put it up there, HERDSA will also repost your post or like your post, so you'll get more of the people from HERDSA's connection as well looking at your presentation. Right, so that's from me.
Thank you, Manisha, and I encourage everyone to use the social media to encourage people to come along to your roundtable. So moving along, if we go to the next slide. So now, and I'm looking at my facilitators up here. The plan was to break out into breakout rooms, leaving some people in the main room. I'm looking at Alice and Bernie. So what we want to do now is we've got a Google Doc, and I'll put the link to the Google Doc in the chat. We'd like you to have a go at filling in this Google Doc. Let me know.
Julia, we have run into a problem with the breakout room.
We can't do breakout rooms? That's fine.
With the question answer setting, it did not allow us to do the breakout room.
That's okay. We don't need to go to breakout rooms. We'll all stay here. That's fantastic. So I've put into the chat function on Teams a Google Doc that hopefully you can all access. Essentially, it covers how are you going to introduce yourselves, what sort of, how can you make your roundtable engaging? How, if you've got multiple presenters, how are you going to make use of your multiple presenters? Will they have different roles? How are you going to stick to time? And then just any other general tips and considerations that you might want to consider. So if you could all have a go at filling this in, and it can be a take home, and we will also, after we've run this roundtable, we can actually send you the equivalent document that was generated last year in this workshop as well, so you can see what the participants last year came up with. So reflective moments. Let's give everyone, I'm looking at the numbers, they're dropping, everyone. Everyone's taking this moment to leave. Let's spend.
That's so cool.
Let's spend 10 minutes. If you want, keep putting those questions into the chat and we can keep responding to those. Back to the numbers game. I mean, as Tanya said, you know, HERDSA has tried over the years to try and limit the numbers to 10 per table, but it's very difficult to implement, isn't it, Tanya? And there are, you know, HERDSA is aiming to ensure there are people on all the round tables. Yeah, so in theory, you know, if you come into a round table room and the table that you'd wanted to go to has 10, 15 people around it, you should look at another round table to attend. Is that right, Tanya? That's the way I saw it. And that encouraged everyone to turn up really early to ensure they got to their round.
It does, and but sometimes people have just got their heart set on a particular round table, so it's very, very difficult to do. But I guess it's about mindfulness. We are a community, and sometimes, you know, in a room you can have 30 at one, 5 at another, and no one turn up for one. And so I always join those tables. And so, yeah, I guess it's mindfulness.
Absolutely.
It's an interesting one about icebreakers. Hey, I've just put like an actual section there on icebreakers. You know, just something low stakes, something funny, or a get to know you, or, you know, maybe if I was going back to humor from last year, it might have been share a quick joke. You know, has anyone got a joke they can share? Yeah, I'm just wondering whether you can just put some icebreakers, because I'm actually would value that myself. Sometimes it's good to have something related to your topic as an icebreaker, but not, you know, too deep and meaningful at that point. You can see how important icebreakers are, though, huh? For you know, a group of people that might not know each other. What's a vignette? What were you thinking there? I like that one. Share one idea that captures your teaching or learning, or what it means to you. Yes, that's nice.
Can I have a quick comment about, you know, if you want to start with introductions, everyone, are you going to have time for all 10, potentially 15 people around the table to introduce themselves? What did everyone do last year? No, says Alice. I can see you shaking your head. So just bear that in mind, everyone. So you're not going to have time to go around every person sitting at the table.
No. And it takes away from the actual topic. You know, time is really precious and it goes so quick. So I think that's why that icebreaker is handy as like a alternative. And I was just putting a point in there. I think it's really important, whatever topic you have, to set the scene or the context. And again, it's kind of like, how much do you set the scene? And you don't want to be talking forever, because you want that collaborative aspect. So think about maybe the scene setting taking like 2 to 3 minutes max, and maybe having a QR code with, you know, a few bullet points about the topic or the setting the scene that people can, you know, take away afterwards. And that QR code, while we're waiting for people to join us, in that transition into the round table, that QR code could be there while people are waiting. They can be quickly, scanning that first context QR code.
I'm loving the comments about how to stick to time. Have a timekeeper. What was the other one that I saw? Yeah, lots of people saying have a timekeeper. Tanya, do you give them a 5-minute warning?
Yes, what we do is we set up, first of all, the protocols around sound and mindfulness, and then I say with 5 minutes to go, I'll walk around with a non-verbal, and I'll wait and catch people's eye, and that'll be the facilitator, and then chimes will go off.
It's an interesting one with post-it notes, and I saw that in the chat before as well. I mean, post-it notes are really handy, or even large piece of paper that people are kind of writing all over the table, not all over the table, but in different parts of the table. But you just need to think about what you're going to do with that and how important that is, and if it impacts on the momentum of the round table. What about the idea of think, pair, share? I think I've seen that a few times. Has someone done that in a really good way, felt that it's been successful at the round table? Would anyone like to talk about their think, pair, share sort of scenario? Who wrote that one?
I've done a think, pair, share in different contexts, Alice, and I'm sure a lot of my colleagues here in the session have as well. We had to use that as an emergency with the 30+ group that was growing, which, yeah, so that worked really well. But we had to have some extra things to hand out, like it might be a couple of small handouts, not a full page, or we wrote something on a post-it and said, okay, we'll just give these out, and that helped. So that's what we did.
Thanks. Is that Bernie? Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm not on camera because my my computer's aging, and I'm just worried about it kicking me out.
Okay, no worries.
Yeah, hi Julie. I put that one up as just an idea of, rather than introducing with an open question and having lots of people all talk all at once, I thought it could be if you establish the rules of it and just say, I'm going to give you a minute to think about and lead with your key question, then pair with someone next to you and have a discussion. That way it's flexible to the room no matter how many come to your table, and it gets the conversation going real quick, and it'll be that little icebreaker intro, and then you go, right, now we're all on the same page, let's go forward into whatever you're presenting.
Can you confirm, was I imagining things, or was there a light, like a large paper there for all the stands last year, all the round tables?
Last year there were dividers, and there were big
Butcher paper,
butcher's paper, but I'm not sure if that's happening this year.
We
but
probably
I can
need to
find out.
Yeah, I think that would be handy, really, to find out, because if we need to know if there's no or some resources there.
What I'll ask is I'll find that out, and anybody who is doing a round table, I'll get the expert events to send out what are the materials, whether it just be a table and chair for you. So I'll get that communication sent out.
Thank you. Thank you. I think in terms of QR codes, and I'm just putting a caveat here, they became, I think probably 2 years ago when we did this for the very first time, they became a little popular, and then last year they were like super popular with showcases as well as roundtables. So just be aware, and I think by the end of it, everybody gets good at QR codes, right? But I think it's really important to take care not to overuse, because I think up to a point, it can also lose momentum and become kind of same old. So just putting a caveat on that to think about. I'll probably use one for each of mine, but not like 4.
I really like getting a hard copy. I'm old school, that I can take away hard copy.
You are old school, Julia.
I am. I'm very old school. So, if, you know, a nice sort of A4 or what's the smaller size? A2, A4, A3? No, A5. Yeah.
What's the Hey Siri? Saha? T Saha. What's Hey Siri? Who wrote that one? This one here, Hey Siri. It's a bit ambiguous.
Sorry, I tried to unmute myself and kicked myself out of the meeting. I just like to use my phone to just say, hey, Siri, set a timer for 20 minutes.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Assistant to keep my time. When I don't have anyone, and this time I don't have anyone with me.
And then you can blame Siri if it's getting bossy and telling someone, you know, hey, Julia, you've said enough, it's someone else's turn, sort of thing, right?
That's the plan.
Okay. Daniel Castro, you're being very teacherous here to develop a lesson plan. What do you have in mind?
That we need to do what we preach. So we preach that we need to be organized. So we have a little lesson plan for the 25 minutes and plan for the best. If we have 10 really engaged participants, and plan for the more complicated ones to have win participant, or we have, I don't know, 50 participants. So plan for these many scenarios.
So a plan. Yeah. That sounds good. Plan, and I like the way you're planning for best case or extra as well as limited participants. That's good.
Yeah, because we don't know.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, and it's very good to be creative, innovative, work with the flexibility and how, as I said before, how plan B, plan C, plan D ready, depending on the participants, depending on the group that is at your table, you just have to be flexible.
I think one of the ones that I struggle with is when you're asking for, you know, participant input, and someone wants to kind of elaborate and tell you the whole story and not the 30-second story. How you kind of wrap that up without sounding rude, which sometimes I might, you know, potentially do. So any suggestions on how you kind of move on from someone that's elaborating too much? I think that's a really important point.
Can you not just look at your watch, because I'm old school and I've got a watch, and say, we're about to
You probably would, Julia. I don't have a watch, so
maybe. I've seen a couple of mechanisms used. One, people often don't open up into open questions unless they need to fill time. So they keep it really structured. So it might be share with the person beside you or share down. And I'm just going to pick 2 people. Can you give me, you know, in a tweet? Perfect. Great. And then, I really love, you know, would love to hear more about that. Can we do it afterwards? Because I've only got 10 minutes. And so valuing moving on or keeping it structured and only opening up to those open-ended questions. Or if you've got an open question that you're having people discuss with together, you know, using, and these are all strategies we know, the helicopter where you might pick and 2 ideas so you don't get people to share, you share what you heard. and then you can control it as well. So I heard this and I heard this. If I've misinterpreted this, please let me know after the session. I hope I've captured that properly. So just some of those sorts of things instead.
I love that point. I heard this, or as I was moving around the group, you know, I heard that, or I like that one about, you know, this group here, can you share 2 highlights or something like that? So you know, that tweet response is an interesting one if they know what that looks like, sounds like.
Sometimes you have to say 20 words or less.
Okay, that's good. That's good. How are we going for time, Julia? Have we done our homework enough here? Is there any question? Oh, sorry, Julia,
I'm
your
fine.
job.
We're fine. We've scheduled for an hour and a half, unless I've got the timing wrong. So we've got plenty of time, but a number of people I see have had to leave. But that's fine. We will after the event. I'm looking at Manisha here. We will share the recording, and as Tanya said, you'll be updated on the details of the logistics of the room and the resources provided.
I think we've kind of expanded in looking at this enough, and we don't have to spend the whole, I think we even had an early break last year. So is there anything else we need to do in the session, or is there, or would we value having an opportunity for asking questions, or what would people like to do?
I think it would be great if any of the participants have any questions while the expert panel is here. Feel free to ask questions. Otherwise, it'd be great to wrap, not great, it's been wonderful, but I think we can wrap up and get an extra half hour of our lives back to mark our exams. Bernie.
Just look.
Sorry, can I just suggest that there's lots of really great comments, questions and responses in the chat. So if someone could make that chat available for our participants, I think that would be extremely valuable for them as well. Just a suggestion.
I believe, Manisha, there's going to be a transcript, is that right?
Yeah, we will generate a summary using AI of the discussion, and then we will share it as well.
Thanks very much, Manisha. That's going to be very helpful for people, I think.
That will be posted as a post-event summary on HERDSA's website. So we do that as the post-event connection under HERDSA. So there is that benefit. We've got a hand up, Andrew.
Hi, everyone, and thank you for a great session. Just a very quick question in terms of having someone as a timekeeper, handing out slides, etc. Do they have to be registered for the HERDSA conference? Or in this case, say, for example, my wife's actually going to be over in Perth at the same time. Is it possible for her to come in for one session, or is it attendees only?
Tanya here, as one of the conference people, it is attendees only that can attend. Yep.
No, that's fine. Thank you, Tanya, for clarifying.
And I have gone on to the question answer session that was open as well. And there are a few questions there. Most of the comments are around will the session be recorded? And yes, the session is being recorded. The recording will be available via LinkedIn. Recording will be on YouTube and then shared via LinkedIn. And another comment that I saw, would this be a 35-minute session, each roundtable 35 minutes? To my understanding, that's 25 minutes. Tanya, could you confirm that, please?
Yes, with a 5-minute warning.
Yeah, so it's 25 minutes, not 35. And I think that's pretty much all the questions. The stationery, we will be confirming that from via expert events. So you'll get a confirmation on what you'll be having an access to.
Excellent. If there are no more questions, I think we should wrap up. So if we just quickly move on to the next couple of slides to finish. So yes, we're looking forward to seeing you at HERDSA, and hopefully you'll see at least one of us at your round table. And here's further information about HERDSA if for those of you who are not familiar with HERDSA and have not heard of things like the HERDSA fellowships, the SOTL modules, which I know Alice is heavily involved with, the journals HERD and ASRHE, which I never know how to say, sorry, Ron. We've obviously got an annual conference, which you're all coming to. There are also fabulous grants and awards that you can apply for through HERDSA. And there are, alongside the branches, there are also special interest groups. And I know that Alice, again, is heavily involved with the special interest groups. Oh, and here's some extra information about the fellowships and the awards. And thank you very much for coming, everyone. So as we said, this will be recorded, and we will share the recording and also the transcript, and we will share the Google Doc that was generated from last year's Roundtable workshop. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you.